and welcome to Activating Magic. I'm here with JJ Flizanes, and I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks, Darla. Looking forward to our conversation.
So, JJ, here's the word that I feel first off is very prolific. Like you have so many resources, so much wisdom that you share with people in so many different ways. I'm like so in love with and intrigued by the phrase invisible fitness. I want to hear what like originally drew you to this personal development work.
Well, when you're a young old soul walking on the earth, wondering why things happen the way they do, and you ask all the adults around you why that happened or why this or why that, and no one can give you an answer, you start to develop a curiosity that leads you down very many paths. And I started out as a personal trainer. That's where Invisible Fitness came in. And it really served me for a very long time to brand myself. So originally it was when I learned all the sciences of the body. A lot of personal trainers focus on, of course, what you look like on the outside, but in order to get the look on the outside, especially when it comes to resistance training, building muscle, you have to understand the mechanics and the sciences of what goes on inside the body. But those sciences are invisible to the eye. All you see is what happens when you put them together, but physics isn't physics. You can't see physics. You can't see mechanics. We have to break it down into ideas and then maybe make illustrations or things to show what that means. Now, as my left brain and brain came more together over the course of the years, and I asked questions. So if I had someone with back pain and I didn't know how to help them, because I was looking at the tools I had, well, I'm going to deal with, do they have spinal alignment? Do they have muscular balance? Do they have good digestion? Are they sleeping? Blah, blah, blah. All the things. And really when I started to uncover sort of the energetics of things, the emotions, the spirit, the co-creating of all these things blending together, I asked different questions. And I've always been a spiritual sort of, I grew up religious, but I'd say I was a more spiritual,
Mhm.
curious person. And uh and so Invisible Fitness really served me until the end of that personal training career. I'm still doing some stuff now with the physical body. I kind of graduated into a program I call Date Your Body, and that's really taking all of the physical things that I know and I'm good at with personal training and keeping your joint integrity and building muscle and reducing your body fat percentage and all the things with the hormones and everything physical, but it's our relationship with our bodies. Because ultimately, the thing that drives me the most and always has is understanding why we do what we do and the
Mm.
emotions that fuel that, and then the emotions that get in the way of that, and the emotions and how do I process that and how do I get through that. So I think the driving
Yeah.
force and factor has been, so I developed a certification actually for trainers, not personal trainers, but my in the work that I do around emotions and core wounds and rewiring core wound patterns. And it was called Empowerment Strategist certification. And so I'd say my new company is kind of the empowerment strategist. But it all just sort of, when you're following your intuition, it just unfolds naturally. You just ask a question, you get curious, you get led down a path, and then you follow that path, and then you get a next question, and it just keeps unfolding, right?
Yeah, well, so many people don't follow intuition, which is really why this podcast exists. You talked about the left and the right brain and kind of bringing those together. And as you're telling your story, I'm imagining it's pretty unusual for a personal trainer to get that deep into all of the connections that physics would explain that maybe personal training doesn't. What do you think? Is it just your natural curiosity, or was there some, are you like wired for the left brain, right brain? Tell me about that.
Well, I was more of a right brain child. I'm a Pisces. I was a dancer and a singer and an actress, and I loved arts and creative things. And I took more English classes than I did science classes the last year in high school because science and math, while I was good at them, it didn't come naturally. It wasn't my zone of genius. It wasn't something that I couldn't see it because again, it was abstract. And to me, it didn't make sense. I didn't even understand why I'd want to know it, quite honestly, for some of the things that I was learning in school. And then it wasn't until I became a personal trainer that then all of these sciences became physical because it was what's happening in my body. And I could look at a skeleton and the different muscles and bones underneath the skin, and I could see how things worked. And there's electrical and chemical transactions that happen from the thought of picking something up to the muscles that fire to pick up the pen off the desk. So understanding and being able to conceptualize the mechanics of something that otherwise you can't really see because they're all invisible.
Yeah.
The emotional piece. I mean, the emotional piece has been, I could tell you, although it's coming from a very victim place, because that's what most people know, because that's what you grew up with, because no one questions feelings and blaming and situations and context. And I could tell people I was a very good communicator. I could say, here's how you hurt my feelings, and here's how to never do it again. Look, and later I thought, whoa, I was the biggest victim I knew. But it was the
Mhm.
breakdown. At least I was trying to understand human behavior and
Yeah.
motivation.
Yeah. I want to dive into the feelings for sure. It sounds like you make things that are unseen help make them accessible to people.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. I think I've been in one of my groups. We're working on Zone of Genius and sort of what people's gifts and talents are. And a couple clients in other groups have said, you're just your zone of genius is this. Like you're just really good at taking these. And also that's why with my flagship show, it wasn't my first show, Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I had a nice big following pretty quickly out of the gate, and people that
Mhm.
stayed and have stayed for years and years and years. And part of it, some of what I've been told, is I can take a very right brain concept and make it very left brained for people who don't understand, who just think it's woo woo. I can explain it, I can tell you the science about it, and vice
Yeah.
versa. I could take something very sort of left brain and sort of translate it into right brain terminology for someone to understand, because most of us don't necessarily operate from a full brain position because we tend to like go where our strengths are and what our parents did or the opposite of that, and we get really comfortable in that, and we don't really explore stretching into and understanding how to build neural pathways into a balanced brain. So I would say I was a very, again, musical theater, singing, dancing, acting, expressive, creative, all those things. And then when I learned personal training, I got a new sense of confidence because I didn't think I could learn science. I didn't think I could understand it as simply because I hadn't before, but I also didn't have a context for it. There was no reason for me to care about math. I didn't have a bank account in high school, or maybe I did, but I wasn't earning money to balance the bank account. So I wasn't attached to the information we were learning. And some of the sciences in calculus, like where do you use calculus today in your life? I mean, it just didn't, to me, they were they weren't a waste of time. I don't mean to disrespect the school system, but again, I looked at like, can I use it now? Does it change my life now? How do I feel about this? So I ended up becoming a lot more confident when my left brain kicked in a science way. And I thought, for the first time in a long time, thought I'm really smart. I mean, I got that feedback too, like, oh, I really understand this. Like, I really see this. So it was almost like
Yeah.
an awakening. My left brain went, woo, hi, I'm here. I get it. I can see it now.
Interesting. When you say I really see this, so magic to me is, how we see maybe what others don't. And I think it's a divine, and it can come in various ways. And I'm hearing, when someone just recognizes something all of a sudden, I call it recognition magic. And I'm hearing some of that, like making the connections, and then all of a sudden the information's there, whether you tried to study it or not.
Absolutely. The exercise I'd like to take you through and everyone who's listening is based on work created by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, and it's called nonviolent communication. Now,
Mm,
nonviolent communication is a movement. There are many trainers all over the world, all over the globe. They still have many sessions today that where they're training trainers and providing workshops and information. And it took me a long time to read the book because I hated the title. Because
mhm.
who identifies as a violent communicator? I don't know. I don't. I mean, if you're like a loving heart, heart-centered person, you're like, I'm not a violent communicator. And if I am, I don't know it. And if I don't know it, then I can't identify with it. So I just didn't want to read the book. I thought this is not, I don't, but then someone had said to me, someone I respected said that they learned something, that they were very impressed by what they learned. So I listened to the audio, and then I went to, and I've taken several classes with nonviolent communication with NVC. And so I'd taken the class, and this is, when you're in a studying situation, you learn how your brain works, especially when you then go to try to teach it to somebody else. So I'm listening, I'm absorbing, I'm understanding it, I'm getting it. This is amazing. I extract this exercise out of this work and think this is just the place everyone needs to start. If everyone could just do this, we'd have no war, we could defuse any situation. This is how it's going to be. And I ended up getting clients together, personal training clients, friends, family, my ex-husband, and putting everybody in a room and having the trainers come down. At the time I was in LA and they were in Santa Barbara, and I had them come down to teach a course, the same course I had gone through now 2 or 3 times. And I watched how everybody learned. So this is how I understood how I was different. I didn't know until I was actively in this class and they're presenting the material, which in my opinion changed my life. And I'm listening to what they're saying and I'm following along, and then I'm watching the reactions of people in the room, and no one is reacting like I reacted. And I thought, what is going on here? And I
Hmm.
realized when I took a step back, the way they were teaching it, let's say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how they taught it. Well, what I didn't realize is that my brain goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. I think it's better 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 or whatever. And I
Right.
do it so fast that I think that's what they taught me. And that's what I realized in that moment. I was like, oh, my brain already rearranged this to make more sense of this. Even today,
Mm.
I have a couple clients last year who I helped put on a summit, and I gave them an NVC trainer, and the NVC trainer and I both had slots in that summit and talked about similar things. But I teach this exercise differently than any NVC trainer because it comes from a position of, for me, empowerment. It's about they NVC does a great job in wanting you to listen, really, really listen to someone, which is very important and we all could absolutely get better at. Really, really listen to hear what's underneath what they're saying, what their feeling is, what their need is, and be able to empathize and reflect that back to them. And as I was going through the exercises, I thought, well, that's interesting and great. And what if I lived with someone who was very reactive, who had a lot of triggers? I'm like, do you think that person's gonna like you can't listen if you're triggered. If you're triggered,
Right.
you're defensive. So first we have to take care of us first. Like me, I have to get my own needs met first to be in a space to even listen to anybody else. That was my
Mm.
point of view. And so I teach it from that position of let me get my own needs met. Let me understand and be conscious of my choices, my reactions, my feelings, my needs. So that way I'm not, so that I can be in a place, in a calm state of groundedness to be present for somebody and then be there for them and then practice the skills of listening for them. So it's the, over every year, I think every new event I do, every program or product I create, there's a lesson of growth and expansion and how my brain works, and also to be compassionate and understanding and not assume that anyone else's brain works the same.
Yeah. And I would say that's how each of us brings unique value in our work is the way we make those connections or the way we perceive and share. I use human design with my clients, and a lot of them have this right angle cross of explanation. I can't remember if it's right or left angle, but but the way each person explains something is distinct based on their magic and how they perceive it. I'm
Yes.
excited for the exercise.
Okay, good. You want me to
Okay.
just dive in?
So, yeah, so just to frame up, one of the things we had talked about is so our magic is our intuition, it's our divine guidance working on behalf of source for higher consciousness. That's how I think of it. And one of the things you said is if we're blocked emotionally, we can't access it. So it's like all nice and pretty to think about, oh, something happens and we just, we're zen and we tune in and operate from our guidance in every moment. But really, emotions can get in the way. And when we're triggered, we're not feeling that. And if we're not in the habit of accessing it, we can miss it. So, yeah, dive in. Tell us about emotions, needs, how this stuff keeps us from what we really want.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add one thing about how because I have a course that I called Strengthening Intuition. And one of the things in the course that I take people through is be able to identify when this is an intuitive, sort of downloaded, whether it be divine or higher self or inner knowing or subconscious, whatever. It's that I can identify when that is an intuitive hit versus a trigger response or a trauma response. Because some people will say,
Yeah.
well, I have this negative feeling. And I'm not saying that all intuition has to be in the positive, but there is a component of your nervous system that has to be relaxed enough that isn't in a trauma response.
Mhm.
And because people will get feelings, say, oh, my intuition says I shouldn't do that. And I'm going to call BS on that and say, no, that's a core wound pattern and upper limit. That's your upper limit fear saying, I've never asked for more than that. And that's your knee jerk response. It's not your intuition. It's actually, and when you learn about those different frameworks, you can identify the difference between an upper limit and an intuitive hit that says, that's bad for me. I shouldn't do that, or whatever it is. But our emotions at the end of the day are key because they're what's real for us right now. What's
Mm.
real for you right now. And if I can identify that I'm out of alignment because I'm in a momentum of fear or out of alignment energy, and any negative emotion would apply to that, then the intuitive hits I'm getting right now probably aren't the solutions because I'm in a negative momentum, right? So
Yes.
how do we get out of that? How do we get back into alignment? How do we get our needs met? How do we get grounded? How do we get into a peaceful state where it's not even a positive state. It could just be neutral. Just get back to neutral so that anything that's coming to you doesn't have a momentum of, again, a story or a reaction.
Mm.
So I call it the 3 steps to effective communication. And I'm happy to, I know this is an audio podcast and I don't know if you're going to be sharing video, but I do have a sheet. It's the feelings and needs sheet, and everyone is welcome to download it. It's free. And I'll give you the link. It's
Mm.
jjflizanes.com/feelings list, but I'll make sure you have that so you can put it wherever you need to
Okay,
put it.
great.
And so it's 3 questions you're going to ask yourself, or 3.5. Okay, so the first question is, what am I feeling? Now, this list is divided into two, and there's a top and a bottom, and the feelings are on the top. And there are 100 different feeling words. If you ask the average person, how many
Good.
feelings do you, right, right, good, bad, angry, worried, sad, anxious. I don't know. Like you're not going to get 100. So then we look at under each category of, let's say, mad, for instance. There's aggravated, agitated, angry, annoyed, bitter, enraged, exacerbated, frustrated, furious, lonely, irritated, and miffed. When you're dealing with fine tuning what's going on for you, and just to say I'm mad, that could be fine. If that's what you are, you're mad. But I had a partner who lived with a certain amount of anger most of the time. So
Mm.
when the anger elevated into punching a wall,
Mm.
and you say, and he says, okay, I am angry now. I said, well, that's not anger, that's rage. Right? To know, if I said to you, Darla, I'm just a little irritated right now, you'd say, oh, okay, what's going on with you? If I said, Darla, I'm enraged right now, you'd take a step back. Right? You're
Mm.
not going to be like right up against me, being like, she's enraged. Let me get closer. Like our human condition says, let me step back a little bit, because enraged means explosive. It could mean she's going to start swinging or doing something crazy. So it's important to identify the intensity of the emotion. And these different words give us the different feeling tones of how severe it is, or how big it is, or how small it is. So that's why there's 100 different feeling words. So you would ask yourself in any given situation, let's say something's bothering you, you're triggered. And okay, well, what am I feeling? What's the feeling that I'm having in this moment based on the situation that's happening? I did this years ago with that partner about a couple that I was doing a mastermind. It was around law of attraction, and it was about all things in life. And they had been a part of it for about a year, and it was time to kind of take it to the next level. And I wanted to do business stuff. And this was a group that everybody had a certain business going on, but we really did everything. It was relationships, health, and business. And I said, let's do a whiteboarding session. And that couple, the husband was like all in. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Now, here's the caveat. Here's the thing that created the situation for me. The whole thing was free. Like this was a beta. Like I wasn't charging anybody anything to like do this and support each other. So he's like all in, and the wife was like, meh. I don't know if that's such a good use of our time. And I thought, what is wrong with you? It's free. Have you ever done it before? No. Well, what? Why wouldn't you try it? So I came home really agitated and irritated. So I
Mm.
took the sheet, because your feelings, everyone, your emotions, your triggers are never about you. I'm sorry, never about the other person, never about the other person. So it doesn't matter that she was the mirror. It's not about her. It's not about them. They're just mirroring whatever's going on with you in terms of your interpretation. So I grabbed the sheet. And I would recommend, if you're going to print this, or you're going to grab the sheet, please print like 30 of them. Seriously. Have it in your car, have it in your backpack, have it on your refrigerator, have it in your bathroom, so that anytime you're having an emotion that you don't like, You can go, okay, what's going on with me? How do I problem solve this? So we'll
Mhm.
start with the emotion. So I was feeling irritated. I was feeling sad too. I was feeling sad. And and then I thought, okay, so I'm sad, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, I'm confused, definitely confused about what's going on. So step two, after you figure out the feelings, is what need is not being met.
Mhm.
And again, we don't really talk in needs. Need People judge need as needy or dependent or weak. No, we have 86 basic human needs. Every need
Mhm.
on this list. In fact, I start off, and this is a great exercise for anybody who's struggling with anything. Just print the sheet, forget the situation. Go look at the needs list and circle every need that you're not getting met in your life right now. That gives you a framework to start what you can work on because it's your responsibility to get your needs met, not anybody else's. But so you go to the need. So in that situation, what was my need? I had a need. Well, I didn't know what my need was. That's why I needed the sheet because I thought I don't know what my need is. So I just started reading down the column, and it was under meaning. And it went acknowledgement. Do I need acknowledge? I don't know. Awareness, beauty, celebration, clarity, closure, competence, contribution. Contribution. That was the first time I had ever recognized that I had a need for contribution. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I have a need for contribution. So, step one, what's the feeling? Step two, what's the need that's not being met? That's creating the feeling. Step three, what strategies can I take to get the need met? And here's the most important part that don't require anyone else to be different.
Mhm.
So I thought, all right, I have a need for contribution. I can't ask them to be different, but I don't want them to be different. I have a need to contribute. So if they don't want what I have, I'll go find somebody else. So I figured, so this
Yeah.
situation turned into a bigger calling of like, I'm going to go help a lot more people. There are a lot more people looking for what I'm trying to offer. They don't want it. So stop trying to give it to them. Go find somebody else that wants it. And all of a sudden, I got very excited and very on purpose about the fact that I discovered in this
Mhm.
situation that I had a need for contribution. So it was pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. And are there ties? I downloaded it, so I have it right here. Are there ties between the feelings and the needs or not? Like, is there like, um, I don't know, let's say angry typically goes to connection or something like that? Or is it all pretty random? People have different feelings.
Well, because of our astrology, human design, birth order, core wounds, right? All these different things,
Yeah.
we interpret things differently. So it's, I mean, I used to get yelled at in a past relationship. It took me a while to go, what is he like? What's he really saying? Because, when you're getting yelled at, you're just trying to defend
Mhm.
yourself. You're not really able, but I got to practice this all the time. It was perfect for me. I got to practice really being compassionate and listening to somebody yelling at you. And I thought, and the words were, you're always working. You're always in your office. You blah, blah, like you put your job and your work before everything else. And this was right after we had gotten married. And I thought, what is he really saying? I went, oh, he misses me. Like,
Mhm.
had he been able to figure that out and say it, it would have changed the course of the relationship. But so somebody, but a man isn't gonna who doesn't want to be vulnerable and say, I miss you, I'm sad,
Mhm.
is gonna default to
Um,
anger and then blame.
mm,
So it really just depends on the person. I wouldn't say there's an exact, like they're not
yeah.
necessarily connected, but here's the thing that I can give you some clues. And if you want to work through something, I'd love to. If you have anything on the table you want to put out there, whether it be yours or somebody else's, that we could workshop through. But how you know you have it, or when you don't have it, is when someone says, "I need you to." Nope. I need her to. I need him to. I need them to.
Mm,
Nope. The minute you say that you or them, done, because your need is your need. Period.
mm,
My need for contribution was not attached to this couple. It just got the
right.
mirror just got shown back to me of you have a need for contribution. You're trying to get it met here. You're not going to get it met here with them. So move on. But I'm not,
Mm,
I could, so I mean, contribution was really a good first step for me because I couldn't have turned to them and said, anyway, hey, I have a need for contribution. You need to accept what I'm, no, like that makes no sense. But for a lot of things like acceptance. So it's, someone has a need for acceptance. They're going to say, well, you're mean to me. I need you to accept me. Nope. Anyone who's responding to you is responding to how you energetically show up in the world. You have to accept you first. It's always I have to give it to me first before I can see it or reflect it back or manifest it from other people. So just for everyone who's listening, when you go through this, if you say, well, I'm, because it happens in couples, I'm really I'm really mad that my husband doesn't want to have sex with me. And you go, well, I need you to have sex with me for me to feel better or whatever. And it's like, no, what's your need? Your need potentially is acceptance or belonging or love or intimacy. But it has to start with love and acceptance of you first before anyone's even attracted
Yeah.
to you right? So we can't, so use the yous and the theys and the thems, you're not on the right path yet if that's where you're going. And so three, and again, it's also strategies, not one strategy. That's why I said step one, what's the feeling? Step two, what's the need? Step three, what are the strategies, more than one, to get my need met? And it is your responsibility to get your need met. Now there are times where you're going to need some, you're going to have to, like, let's say companionship is one. Well, that's dependent on somebody else. So does that mean one person? No, I would tell clients who have love languages of quality time, get out your list and list all of your favorite people to hang out with. And then you're going to call them and you're going to put them on your schedule and you're going to rotate and you're going to see one person like every couple of months and you're going to do that every other weekend and you're going to have a whole schedule full of quality time and companionship with a lot of other people and you're going to force one person to have to hang out with you all the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Um, I'm thinking of what to ask you or where to go here. So I am just looking at this needs list and thinking of a scenario that happened for me this weekend, which feels like it's not mine to share. So I'm like, can we workshop it without
Oh, of course,
uh,
I don't need to know whose it is.
totally
Yeah,
workshopping?
make up a name or
Okay.
something, or make up a different situation or
So I
similar.
feel like the need is communication. The
And the person was feeling what?
feeling,
Or what would you
I don't
guess?
know. The word abandoned comes up, but I'm not seeing it on this list.
Abandoned, that's a great thing. Abandoned is a interpretation, it's not a feeling.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
in the
great.
situation with that couple, someone might say, I felt rejected. Rejected is not a feeling, rejected is an interpretation.
Okay.
So it's important to use the words on the list because
I love that.
because of our core wounds we will interpret. I had a client and she we still have some work to do. She said the other day, oh, my family, they hurt my feelings. Now she's new to my community and she doesn't listen to the podcast quite as regularly as everybody else does, but I said, okay, hold up, back up. They hurt your feelings. She's a core wound of abandonment because I'm working with her on core wounds. And she
Mhm.
said, tell me the scenario. So she told me, and her family is, on the East Coast. She's on the West Coast. They didn't call her on Easter. I'm like, okay, did you call them? No, they're busy. They have children. They had a party. They were cooking. They were cleaning. They were driving. But because she's a core wound of abandonment, everything she interprets comes through those wounds. So it's important to, like, so when you said abandon, so it would be the feeling like, what does abandon bring up
I
for you?
well, I got annoyed and sad.
Great. Okay. So annoyed and sad because the need for communication.
Yes. I think consideration.
Okay. So
Consideration.
someone was feeling,
Consideration, communication. Yeah.
okay. And then I don't know the details of the situation, but my questions would be, you don't have to answer these, but like if someone would say, well, I'm feeling hurt or angry because you didn't consider me, right? I would say, well, did you ask them to consider you? Was there a communication on the front end of this? And then there's also, I would probably ask for something underneath that consideration. So what does that mean? What does that look like? What does consideration look like? Is it, what, can you answer that?
Hmm. What does it look? It looks like communicating.
Okay, well, communicating and then
Um,
communicating because they want to feel connected, they want clarity, they want acknowledgement, they want closure.
clarity, connection, both, I think.
So
Yes.
normally in situations where someone is feeling victimized because something has happened and they're having a negative feeling about it, that would be, I have a client, one of my in my rewire group, and she will internalize things. And I said, so we make a map, a core wound map, and one of the things you can do is do the opposite of what your knee jerk response is. So if your knee jerk response is to internalize and shut down and withdraw and avoid, then you go, well, hold on. Let's lean in, do the opposite, lean in and ask a question, get curious. I have a client who her mom hurt her feelings. Like she was in a bad mood. And my client got like, oh my God. And she, and normally would have just kept her mouth shut, like shrunk down in her seat and then just been quiet. And she heard my voice and she went, okay, I'm going to lean in. I'm going to ask. And she said, Mom, did I do something to upset you? And her mother said, Oh, I'm just in a bad mood. And she's like, oh,
Mhm.
okay. And now, but her energy stayed high and she could let it go and not make it
Yeah.
personal. So when we have these habits and patterns of, because we do, a core wound pattern leads to, it's the same idea. We have a trigger that happens, which we interpret quickly as abandoned, not good enough,
Mhm.
invisible, smothered, whatever it is, and
Mhm.
devalued. And then all of a sudden we go into this pattern. And this is where, if you would take combine the core wounds with the needs, if I'm somebody who's constantly looking to be validated, or I need communication or clarity, but I'm waiting for the other person to do
Mhm.
it, then what I can do is to be proactive and start asking questions.
Mhm.
Start saying ahead of time, here's
Yeah.
my needs. I'll give you another quick example that this is going to outline a couple different things. In that past relationship, there was a family reunion on his side. And I'm very different than that family. I'm a talker.
Mhm.
I'm deep. I want to know things. I want to explore things, right? And anyway, and they're not that interested in that kind of stuff. So for me, it gets a little like, oh, well, I'm bored and I'm annoying to them. And I don't just want to drink and play games. I mean, that's fine sometimes, but so I had to like analyze what was coming up in my body when I thought, well, I'm going to go because it's the right thing to do. And I do want to go, but it isn't really like really fun for me. It isn't, and I don't like it. So I had to say, well, what's going on? What is this? I had to like unpack it. So I tapped into, I was anxious and worried and nervous. And I said, okay, well, what are my needs? And I had three of them. Number one, as a personal trainer and healthy person that I am, I have a different diet than the average person. I
Yeah.
don't eat gluten. I wasn't eating dairy at the time. I don't eat dye. I don't drink soda. All the right. So I thought, okay, what can I do about that? Well, the strategy was, well, you're going to stop at the grocery store on the way up to the cabin. Go get yourself something. And we had a refrigerator nearby. I'm like, okay, great. Just buy your food, buy your creamer, not all the food, but buy the things that you need. All right, check. One, I felt a little bit better. All right, what's next? All right, number two, it's in the woods. There's no internet. I can't call anybody. So I thought, rent a car. Rent a car so you have freedom. Freedom is very important to me. So I can leave when I want to. I can't blame them for not having internet, or, I didn't want to
Yeah.
borrow and ask to borrow the car and feel like a nuisance. So rent a car. Okay, now I'm feeling a lot better. Next and last thing was, yeah, but I want to connect with people. If I'm going to be on a vacation, I want to connect with people. So I can't force them to connect with me. So I said, okay, connect with yourself, JJ. You're going to make this like a meditation retreat. You're going to take a notebook and you're going to journal and you're going to listen. And then when you don't want to listen and you want to talk, you're going to write, or you're going to go meditate, but you're going to practice keeping your mouth shut, because unless they want to know what you have to say, they don't care. And so I said, okay. And of course, funny enough, middle of the week, I had a lot of very deep conversations with a few people who stepped up, and because I had already gotten my need met and changed my
Right.
expectation, and I didn't have to force or look or be desperate to connect with somebody. I'm like, just connect with yourself, let it happen. So that made the trip so much better, and I got all the things that I wanted because I got my needs met first.
I feel your intuitive sense because your share is very connected to my experience last week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because you expect, we have unspoken beliefs and expectations of others, and
Yeah.
also we think that everyone looks at the same thing the same way as we do. So of course we expect, well, why wouldn't you do that? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, like with that couple, I'm like, why would you? It's free. Why wouldn't you come try it one time? Makes no sense to me. Which is why I was so frustrated, because I thought this, I mean, I get it. It's, you got to drive. It's a commitment. It's a couple hours, but because I had experienced it before, and I thought, even if you guys don't give me any good information, the idea of creating some space to workshop my ideas in front of people creates magic. It just gets the ideas out in the open. It gets things moving. It's the mastermind aspect of what Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. But they, weren't interested. But thank God, because it really forced me to learn about my need for contribution. So yeah, it's sometimes it's multi-layered, like the story about going on the reunion trip. But until we start practicing and identifying, and more importantly, really looking at how many needs. I mean, I have clients on here that come to me and they have most of these needs not being met. And the first thing to a path to deeper connection with yourself and therefore deeper intuition is to start getting your needs met. You will feel empowered. You will feel calm and peaceful and love and connected when you can attend to yourself. And then that momentum opens up a whole new portal where you can download all kinds of things.
It sounds like you'd recommend going through the needs, even if you're not triggered or you don't have a active feeling happening. Just generally work your way through the needs.
I think it came to me like with a client who was depressed and she had this and that and all these things going on and the feelings that were included in depression were kind of with her all the time. And I said, well, let's just unpack. And then I started doing it in my workshops. I'm like, everyone pull out this list. And I mean, I'm going to do it the next workshop. Pull out the list and circle all the needs not being met. Because if someone would say, well, what should I work on? This is what you work on. You work on whatever wherever you don't have a need getting met, because what happens is subconsciously we manipulate people around us to get those needs met. We aren't
Mm.
conscious of it, but we're trying to get those needs met and we don't know how because we haven't articulated it yet. And so you'll find yourself, I mean, wanting to belong. I had a friend who I went to college with over yesterday, and we were talking about all the toxic people that we used to hang out with. And I at the time didn't realize how toxic they were. And I said to her, well, I think we just wanted to belong. But I didn't know that. And if I knew that, I would have done better. I would have been more conscious about choosing different people to belong with, right? But this was default. Well,
Right,
I met you in
right.
college and we hung out there and now we're hanging out here. So this isn't to me, this is the bottom of the starting point, not the bottom, but the bottom line, but the starting point of any kind of emotional work. Like if you're in therapy and you don't know what your needs are, then you got to
Mm.
get on this because otherwise, we just get addicted to the story. Oh, I'm this and this person that, and we're all in this victim story. And it's like,
Mm.
okay, stop. What's the need? You can get your need met. It doesn't matter what the story is. Get your need met, and the story dissolves. It has no
Yeah,
power over you.
that's beautiful. So when you're working, you talked about the love your body. Is that, do I have
Date your
that right?
body.
Date your body. Thank you. I knew that wasn't correct. Um, is this work part of that?
Oh, this work is in every course that I do. I
Um,
mean, I have another one called the Radiant Sacred Circle. It's sort of a manifesting group, but we haven't necessarily done it in that work because most of the people in that group have done a group before. Like that's kind of the group you end up in. But there's the Date Your Body and the Rewiring Your Core Wound Patterns, and I'm doing Healing the Mother Wound in June here in Ojai. And I'm sure that's gonna because it is it's a place to start. That's why I thought this feels like a perfect start for me with you and your audience, because if you're interested in increasing your intuition, you have to understand your feelings and needs because that's what creates the portal, opens the portal. You can't open a portal of like if your brain and mind to clearly feel and interpret and receive those if you're blocked with all this negative emotion that's stuck in your body that you don't even know is there because you don't know what your needs are. You're just trying to get them met in any way you know how, but you aren't aware of it. It becomes a block.
mm. What do you say to someone who says it feels selfish to get my needs met or to make my needs important?
Well, you can only operate from self. So let me give you an example of if someone's a people pleaser and they say, well, I'm just trying to be a nice person to people. I said, right, you're manipulative. The
Mm.
people pleasers are all highly manipulative
Yep.
people because what you're doing is saying, I'm going to try to please you in some way where I'm going to get an indication, whether it be a smile or words of affirmation, or you're going to give me something. And then I'll feel good like, I'll feel safe or I'll feel valuable. But it's really a plea for something extremely selfish. Any people pleaser who thinks they're really just all about everybody else is also expecting that that person is going to do the exact same thing for them in return. And it normally never happens. So then they get mad and hurt that that person wasn't there for them the way that they were there for them. And I want to say, well, you did it for the wrong reasons. If you just gave it and knowing that you were never going to get anything in return, but you did it because you were trying to feel better about yourself. It's extremely all self-serving because you can only come from self. You can't
Um,
anticipate for somebody else. There's no situation that doesn't have, that you don't benefit from, that you're literally completely selfish, even if like as a mother, if you're a child, right? So that you feel safe. You're doing whatever you're doing so that you feel better. Not because whether you're taking care of your child and you care about them, but ultimately you want to feel calmer or less worried or right.
Absolutely. Yeah, growing up in a household with a lot of alcoholism and toxicity, I know I did a lot to try to make everyone feel better so that I didn't have to feel bad about their emotions.
Right. And there's also the, and the dynamic, I'm sure and the anytime there's an addiction, especially alcohol, usually the children, at least the firstborn, but usually more, that your trauma response is control
Hmm.
because the fear of lack of safety and
Hmm.
stability creates the need for, and control is not on this list, which is funny. I mean, it's not supposed
Hmm.
to be because it's illusion,
Right.
but
It's
most
not
people,
a need.
it's not on a need. Need is not, you do not have a need for control. What's underneath control is usually safety
Mhm.
or peace or
Yeah.
ease. And I think to pull in law of attraction, one of the hardest things that people have trouble with, although it is the key. So when you can learn to do this, you are golden, is when you can find peace in unpeaceful situations, when you can
Mhm.
find compassion in not compassion situations, when you find the thing you're looking for because it's already in you. You want to talk about divine, when you can tap into what's already there, that you're waiting for the world to reflect it back to you. And that's not how this works. You have to be able to put it out, and then the world will show you what's happening inside of you. So it's finding that peace and that safety and that connection and that, no matter what is happening around you and allowing others to have their own process and not trying to control them.
Mm. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, can I
Oh,
actually mention
so,
it in
oh,
business? Can I do
yeah.
one more little quick? So
Yeah.
I actually use this. So Doug and I have done, we've worked with several companies in like in sales training. And there was a company that had, it was a pet. It was like they did grooming and boarding and training. And they had a couple different locations. And I brought this in. It was funny because it was one of our first clients that I did this with because it was the first time that Doug and I were kind of coming together because he has more of a sales training background and I'm doing more of the personal development, but and sales training. But the owner of the business, so think about this if you're a business owner. It was a couple, and the husband would get defensive anytime somebody would call with a complaint or crying. Maybe something happened to their dog, maybe their dog got injured. I don't know, but they would be so upset that he would lawyer up. He would lawyer up right away because he was afraid of a lawsuit when people would call upset.
Mhm.
And I took his whole staff through this. We went through from the customer's point of view, and again, I would say for anyone out there that does work with people, because again, we all have our stuff. We come to the table, we get triggered. If you can, when you can put yourself in a customer service situation and listen for what the need is of the client, most of the time they don't need you to do anything except reflect back to them that you hear them. And so they end up saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyer fees because all of a sudden their whole staff now was using this process of NVC when a complaint would come in, and they would turn it right around after they would listen to the client and say that's terrible or whatever they needed. They'd be compassionate, and
Mhm.
the client would say, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You guys are the best." Versus all of a sudden before they were spending all this
Yeah.
money lawyering up, looking for the fight. When you have an opportunity to listen to someone with a complaint, it means every time they have a need that's not being met. Your customers, your clients have a need that's not being met. Try to listen for how you can help them, whether it's you that gives them the solution or not, but help them uncover the solution to get their needs met. Because then you'll be their best friend and their most trusted ally
Mhm.
in business when you can help them get their need met. Again, whether it's you that provides the service or not, but providing the space really is so powerful because it's what people don't know they need to be heard. How many people do you know just talk to you and tell you stuff and you're thinking, why are they telling me this? Because they just need to be heard.
Yeah. I had an appointment with a new doctor this morning. Just I'm new to the area and establishing care. And he was just talking and talking and talking about the changes to their system and all of these things. And I thought, wow, it's an interesting membership practice. It's my first time checking it out. But yes, need to be heard. That's what I was feeling. He's lonely. His assistant's on maternity leave.
Oh my gosh. I also wonder if he's also slightly nervous and he wants to let you know all the news. So in case he's not, he's used to giving a certain level of care and things certain flow. And all of a sudden now he
Yeah.
feels unsafe, not knowing if things are going to work and doesn't want that to affect your
Yeah.
business, maybe.
Yeah. He might be feeling unsafe. That feels true. Um, I want to ask one more question, a little different train of thought. Has there ever been a time in your journey, so you've had multiple reinventions of your business, or it could be a personal story, where your intuition said do something and you thought maybe it was crazy, maybe people around you thought it was crazy, but you followed it and it worked out?
Often. But the first one that comes to mind was when I first started my podcast 10 years ago. Well, oh my gosh, it's going to be 11 years this year. So 11 years ago, I started a podcast called Fit to Love. It was a 6 day week show. It was video and audio. And I was a part of a podcast community. And that podcaster was very, very specific in his coaching of you stay the course, you stay the course, you stay the course until success. And I wasn't in it initially for the money aspect. Yes, did I want to make money, but I also knew I had so much content, especially the video parts, the cooking, the personal training, the exercises, the form. I had so much content that I wanted to archive it. And I'm a big person about efficiency. So I don't like repeating. I mean, I repeat myself all the time, obviously in interviews and things like that, but because I'm teaching a new audience. But I don't, if I don't have to, and I teach something, I would like to have people just go listen to it or watch it and
Yeah.
learn it and then come back and then let's go deeper with it personally for you. I don't ever teach it again. I've taught it already. And so for me, the podcast was really about getting all this stuff archived, creating all this content, and I busted out 350 shows in 18 months. And when my intuition said they can't find you, because if we looked at like on a marketing aspect, like I had a lot of keywords. Biomechanics for the exercise. I'm an expert in biomechanics. Cooking was paleo, gluten free, dairy free, and yeah, gluten free and dairy free, and easy. I want it to be easy. I specialize also like looking at hormones and bioidentical hormones and the endocrine system and aging, like and the vitality of that and alternative medicine aspects from homeopathy to acupuncture. I teach astrology. I teach law of attraction. I had people talk about numerology and feng shui. And so, I mean, I had so many different keywords stacked in this 6 days a week, masculine energy, feminine energy, sexuality. Anyway, and so one umbrella of Fit to Love was not doing it. And I kind of felt that. My intuition said they can't find you. Now,
Yeah.
coach would have said, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course until this is, and I was like, they can't find you. So I'm like, all
Mm,
right, I'm going to take these 6 days a week and I'm going to make six different shows. And
mm,
I broke them apart and I did it in a logical business way. I said, okay, I can build funnels, I can build landing pages for each one of the things. And after I named them all, I led with the ones that were easiest to get off my plate because they had no landing pages or lead magnets or products or courses. I started with my Freedom Friday, which was my guilty pleasure of law of attraction and everything spiritual. And I said, okay, I'm going to put this out into the world. And I did. I did it and I let it go and I surrendered and said, okay, well, because it was only like, I think 15 or 18 episodes it launched
mm,
with and let it go. And then I worked on the next one, which was women, men, and relationships. And within 2 months, Spirit Purpose Energy was charting. And I was getting emails from people saying, I want more of this. This is changing my life. Where can I get it?
mm,
And Spirit Purpose Energy is still my most downloaded show. And it's created me the most financial abundance and opportunity. And it's what my brand is when it comes to podcasting. But it didn't, but I led with they can't find you. And I just named it
yeah.
the content on the show, but I had nothing to sell. I had nowhere to even so I had to create stuff, which was great, and it was like the best thing ever. But yeah, I know that everyone else would have said lead with the ones that make money, lead with the exercise ones, so you can sell your book, you can sell personal training, you can sell coaching.
Right.
But I didn't because I'm like, well, that's going to take a lot longer to set up. Let me do the ones that have nothing attached and get those off my plate, and then I can focus on the ones that have products. But yeah, no, that was the best thing that
So
ever happened.
spirit, purpose, and energy was not on your radar as the thing to be talking about necessarily.
Well, it was in the 6 days a week of Fit to Love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I really built the show around, okay, I'm a personal trainer and I'm talking about law of attraction and all kinds of things with my clients. Let me give them what they need. Let me give them the exercise and the cooking and the nutrition and the alternative medicine. And then I moved into like behavioral things and psychology. And then the Friday day was like, "Ooh, this is the day I really want to talk about." And I don't care if you listen because I gave you 4 other days in the front and another day on the back end. But that it's not funny, but it is funny that of course the one that worked
And
was
then
the one
that
that,
became spirit, purpose, and energy.
yep,
Love it. So,
yep,
like, I'm on your site, nutrition and alternative medicine is one of those. I'm imagining it
yes,
used to be a day of the week.
yes, that was a Wednesday. That was called Wellness Wednesday.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. I talk to clients all the time who have gotten advice from someone, or maybe they're using my teaching as the thing that, like, oh, Darla said to do this. Like, so what? If your magic says something, you got to trust it. But it's so much easier. I guess it kind of fits with getting your needs met. It's like so much easier to follow what the coach says to do the thing than to trust ourselves. And then if it doesn't go well, then it's us versus I did everything they said.
Well, and that's why I created Strengthening Intuition course because I thought, and I still, in fact, I just told a client the other day, they said I should do this or not do this, or I forget what the content was. And I said, I can't tell you that. I said, for me, oh, I know who said that. I said, for me, that feels awful. Like the thing you just said, my body goes, no way. I go, but if your body goes, now I feel safe and open, then that's an
Yeah.
indicator for you. But for me, my body shut down when you said that title. I was like, I hate that idea. I would never do that. That is not right for me. But it may be
Mm.
right for you. And that's well, yeah, when you have a coach who's making, is doing like he's like one of the top podcasters in the world. Like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Do I want to make the same kind of money he does? Yes. Don't have the same kind of downloads he has? Of course. So then you listen to them, but then you go, okay, but that's what worked for him. And that's not your path.
Yeah, beautiful. Anything you want to leave people with?
The probably that besides this feelings and needs thing, which can get kind of heady, and I guess I'd say don't try to analyze it when you're in the emotion. Like if you're having a moment and you're really feeling your feelings, don't stuff it. Don't
Yeah.
suppress your feelings and go into your head and analyze the why quite yet. Like if you're about ready to cry, just allow the crying. Allow yourself to express and allow like that energy to move through you first. Now, if it's something that's just sort of bothering you or that's been around for a while, then that'd be a great subject matter to take through this
Yeah.
situation. But don't suppress any feelings. Don't go into super mental about it because ultimately, even if you know you're sad, just be sad. I have a client who today on a Marco was talking about going to church. She went to a church and it made her cry, and she's someone who wants to make sure she's feeling her feelings, and she goes, I don't know why. JJ, why did I cry? I said, it doesn't matter why you cried. I said the music and the vibration hit parts of your subconscious that just allowed stuff to come out, and it was uncomfortable for her because it was in the public and she's not used to it. And I said, I invite you to go every week. Keep going. Keep crying. Keep allowing it out. Keep cleansing that out. You don't need to know why. Just keep having your heart open and let it, and have it. There's a million reasons why. And maybe over time you'll figure out what the thought is or the memory is. And you don't have to because music is doing it for you. But, we are feeling beings, but our feelings do have connections, and it's important that we learn how to healthfully express ourselves, and it also equally is important to know how to problem solve, which creates the feeling in the first place. So if you're someone that deals with like a scenario over and over and over again, that's exactly what you need to run through this to take your power back and get your need met, and then the thing won't happen anymore.
Mm. Thank you, JJ.
You're welcome, Darla. Thank
I
you.
really appreciate you. I hope folks go follow your podcasts because obviously there's lots of a wealth of information there since you don't like to say things twice. It's probably all there. And then go get this feelings and needs worksheet. We'll put the link below. And I'm sure from that standpoint, they'll get like looped into whatever is exciting in your world, what's coming up live next.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, JJ. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.